Hello, storytelling Ron here. I'm going to talk about a For the Lord RPG, The Dark Ages, a Christian role-playing game. And the reason I'm talking about it and making another video and probably repeating myself is because I don't know of any other Christian RPG YouTuber out there. And if there is any, let me know. Because I do search Christian RPG and there's a couple of defunct things and obscure things and then video games, but I am the only tabletop role-playing gamer that is a Christian. And what I mean by Christian is not the motif of Christianity put over it, but the actual what Christians do. We evangelize and we plant churches. That is the Great Commission. That is what we should be doing. We should be doing something for the Lord because we love the Lord. We don't have to do it. We're saved by grace. I'm sorry, I'm just moving my thing. But we want to do it. Okay, God, Jesus is like, well, if you're gonna do something, I guess you can do this. He doesn't need us to do it. God doesn't need us to evangelize or whatever. But we're doing it because we love Him, and that's what I'm doing. And I've given up D&D and RPGs. I look fondly upon them. I look very fondly upon them, and I don't chagrin them for what they're doing. I get it, but we need Christian RPGs out there. And I do chagrin them, actually. I am contentious, but I'm not, I don't hate anyone for it, but I just want you all to be aware that we have to be Christian, and we have to be Christian in the culture, and we have to be Christian in our games. Not have to, but we should be. We want to be. We should want to be, because you're going to lose friends. If you play an actual Christian character in their games, you're going to lose friends. Or are they friends? I mean, I'm trying to make you feel guilty, but don't feel guilty in a horrible, shameful way. Feel guilty in a way of think about it, pray on it, and figure it out. If you can't be Christian in their games, which you know you can't, create a Christian game. And I've got a game system here for you to use. And I'm just going to talk about the dice pool here in a sec. But I'm trying to be a little nicer, but still contentious. The reason is, and one reason is I'm following Pirate Board because I'm really intrigued by I think Luke and those guys, Limithron, really great artwork. He's not Christian at all. They're not Christian, but I just appreciate that I get that that little genetic DNA addiction of wanting to do storytelling, and that right now I see it through them, and so I'm looking for them. I'm being influenced by them in Darkest Dungeon, that kind of artwork, and I'm going to make a darker version of this, but still Christian, still evangelism, still church planting. The church is what created Western culture. The culture that we have is created by what missionaries did, and we're not missionaries anymore. We're not evangelists. We've stopped it. I believe there's a revival going on across the world and across the U.S. Not shown in media, not shown anywhere. I see a bit of it on social media, which I follow. I think there's a revival going on, but there's certainly not a revival in the RPG culture, because we have been brainwashed to believe that we should not have our faith in the game. Yet paganism is in the game. Paganism is a real world religion. It is absolutely a real world religion. And for you and me to concede to their definitions is pathetic, I guess, even for me. You gotta stop doing that. They don't want you to have Christianity in it, but they definitely want paganism in it. And paganism is horrific. I'm reading it, studying it now. I'm studying church history. I'm studying paganism. Wow, it is really bad. And we brought in chivalry. We brought in romance. We brought in charity. We brought in forgiveness. That's ultimate forgiveness, where you don't seek revenge. Paganism is a culture of revenge, slavery, tyranny, genocide, terror. What I do saves me. That whole notion of if I kill, I go to Valhalla. If I jihad, I go to heaven, whatever they call it. If I do this, I do that, I save myself. That's paganism. If I give an offering, if I do this, if I do that, I am the pagan and the savior of my own self because of what I do, what I want, what I get out of it. So, Christians, you gotta be Christian. And I'm watching a bunch of YouTube role-playing game people because I just want to stay in this culture, which is the one I've always been in, and loved it. Not always. There was a period there where I went crazy. No, but it's just what I know. So that's where that's my mission field. It's a target rich mission field, the RPG culture, because there's like no Christians. You Christians are not being Christian. Same with me. I was not a Christian, and now finally I am. But you Christians have to be Christian, and I know it's tough. I know it's, again, pray on it, think about it, start a Christian game, a real Christian game. You got to do it. Why? Look at the culture. Look what's happening in the culture. You're wondering why people are crazy. You're wondering why the LGBTQ thing is so powerful now. It's in our governance because we are conceding everywhere. The church is conceding all culture to the state, from orphanages to hospitals to television to movies to universities to schools. We are stepping away as the church, and look at the culture. They are butchering our children now. So please take it upon yourself to start a fellowship in this culture, the RPG culture. Because in the culture is where the people are that are voting and joining churches and changing the world. It's individuals, and you have got to create a fellowship and ministry right now with this game, or I don't know what other game you can do it with. I don't know, but or steal my evangelism church planning part of it and put it in your game. Don't change the Bible. The RPG should be earthbound, so don't change the Bible in that sense. I mean, if you got a fantasy one, fine. Keep the theology simple, but in basic. Even if it's a different world, an alternate reality or whatever, keep it simple, because it's all about evangelism, that Jesus Christ is Lord. And I mean, if you're in a different world, would you use Jesus? I don't know, but I would definitely use the Trinity, whatever the names are, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, the Ghost, whatever sort of analogy you want. But that Trinity, absolutely. Obviously, if you do an alternate reality, it's got to be the storyline should be pretty simple. Don't get too crazy there, because it's all about the evangelism of this Son came down, this God came down and walked on the earth, sacrificed himself to prove to everyone that he loved us and understood our suffering, and will die. And if we accept that notion, that act by him and the resurrection of him, knowing that the death is not the final, we are one of the saved, and we need to tell others, inform others of what happened. That kind of thing, planning churches and moving on to the next thing. Because in that sort of evangelism, we change the hearts and minds of people to know that there's a God that is good, a God that knows there's evil, understands that he created it and that it's there, and that we have to, how do we react to it, is the ultimate of our knowing whether we are saved or not through Christ. So I'm going into theology here, but we got to do that. We got to bring that to the table. And I know that you're going to get, all the atheists are going to freaking act like they're so hoity-toity and high and mighty about their intelligentsia, to tell you that this is, don't bring this stuff into I mean, this is a fantasy game. Well, you believe it's fantasy. You believe that Jesus Christ is fantasy in the Bible and the wizard in the sky. Call it the sky god, the guy, whatever they say, the atheist moniker, wizard in the sky. Yeah, that's who I worship. The wizard in the sky, and he came down, his son came down and did his thing. So that's what I worship. And his name is Jezua, whatever. Just, we gotta do it. Boy, this video was supposed to be about talking about this. Okay. Die ranks to dice pool. I love this. This is a little more difficult to grasp, but once you do grasp it, I'm using it like crazy in the game all the time. It's a little dice heavy then in the end, but I don't have to look up any rules or charts or anything. I just use die ranks. I don't know. I'm using the game. Here's the thing that I like. We've got a couple of characters in the game that have played like 50 plus episodes, and then we got some new characters in the game. They both fit in just fine. I don't even have to like give the new characters anything. I mean, I double their glory points until they reach a certain point to catch up, but it's just the characters are still going, and I'm still using the same low level minions and villains against them, but with interesting storylines, and I don't have to like make them more and more powerful. There's no level cap or nothing. So this thing kind of solves that, and it's a little tricky to grasp in the beginning, but once you do, it's very easy to use as I move along. The tough part I do find is that when we have new players, they don't have a grasp of it, so it slows down because they have to explain. And it's only once a week, and none of them really have the game book. And in this game right now, we don't have the sense of everyone wanting to own the copy and understand the rules, right? We don't have that sort of culture yet. Whereas in D&D, a lot of the players would have their own player's handbook and know all the rules. In this game, because I'm barely just starting to come out with the hardbound prints. The concept of owning this as the rules is only a few people in the game that do that, not all of them. Because a lot of them are just new and trying to check this out, because this is weird. A Christian role-playing game, and obviously a Christian role-playing game means boring and dumb and, studying Bible verses, kind of memorizing Bible verses or something. This is not that. This is just an actual game. Go fight the dragon, go to the village. They tell you there's a dragon nearby. Go fight the dragon. Go back to the village, get a reward. All right, the Christian version of that, go to the village. They find out there's a dragon. And here's the real truth of it all. The real truth of fantasy and history. Oh, the villagers worship the dragon. And they're going to go sacrifice humans to the dragon. Now what do you do? And they're not going to listen to you at all because they worship the dragon. And they might fight you. See? That's a Christian role-playing game. Freaking hardcore. Hardcore. And awesome. And way more depth. Way more intensity. And the whole point is you got to convert those villagers. And if you can't convert those villagers, that's going to be hugely tragic, right? If you do convert the villagers, that's going to be hugely epic and emotional. Because they have sacrificed what? Their sons and daughters. And that is true fantasy. True foundational fantasy. Because fantasy is the struggle. True fantasy. Real fantasy. Fantasy, the hardcore heart of fantasy is the struggle of Christians versus pagans. And that story that I just said right there is the exact epitome of that, of what it is. What pagans have done, though, today is stolen fantasy from the Christian ethos. Because we turned their dark paganism, which every one of them believed and feared, we turned it into fun fantasy games. We turned paganism into fun fantasy games. We turned Greek mythology into fun stuff. Not because, remember, back then they feared Hercules or the gods and what they would do to them. They feared them. Today, all you RPGers out there, especially you pagan RPGers, enjoy it as a fun thing. Because we Christians we did that. We made it. Our academics took all that history. We didn't burn it or erase it. We took it and said, "Oh, this is just stories." We knew they were just stories, and so we enjoyed it. And now the pagans have what they've done is they've turned it on. So we can use this fun Christian entertainment that they have turned it into entertainment and use it as a tool to get people to be pagans again. So that's what's going on. So we Christians got to take that back and push on that. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just having a good time. Okay. So let me just explain this again, because I really want more Christian RPG videos out there where we just can have some stuff. I definitely want to do less ranting, but I look at the news and there's more and more things happening. So and I'm the only Christian RPG out there. I am the only one. I'm telling you right now, the only one. And remember, evangelism, church planting. That's a Christian. I'm the only one. Wow, I'm so original. Ugh. Okay, whatever. All right. I don't want to be the only one. That's the thing. This is very much like D&D. You got their traits over here. I'm just showing you the traits. You use these, one like +3, +4, that kind of thing. And they add to these roles, and they're not. This is not limited. Like, this is just the suggestions of roles that you can use it for. But you can obviously use it for a lot more stuff. These are the character classes. They too are not limited. You can expand. You can take in from each other, kind of a thing. I do like having the blessings of the cleric, male cleric, different from the nun. And if the nun wanted to do a clerical blessing, or the cleric wanted to do a nun blessing, it would have to be role played out, like very seriously role played out, kind of a thing. That's the way I do that. I should probably put that down here somewhere. I think I do want to do that real quick. If a character, let me just write it right here. If it's more of the blessings too. It's not necessarily the skill stuff. If someone I'm just writing a note here. If someone wants to learn stuff from other areas, it should be explained via role playing and described there. Well, I will edit this, but it's just an example, like just a way of like saying, you know, hey, you can do whatever you want, but you gotta like role play it. Don't just like, oh, I get this, I get to nitpick, you know, role play it. Okay, so the character sheet's very simple. They got the traits here. You got your weapons. You got your little armor factors, armor, defense, and hit points factors right here. And then you got your gear and burden. So you can carry 2 heavy, 3 medium, 4 lights. And if you go past that, which you can, your armor save will be the penalty factor. So if you have an armor save of D6, which is 3 die ranks, no, I'm sorry, 2 die ranks, D4, D6, 2 die ranks. That will be your penalty to any rolls you want to do with, because you're burdened, you know, or just a D4. If you have no armor, then it'll just be a D4. But and so you can carry more than that, but you're just burdened. Blessings and skills, you can pick your own skills. Like you can make them up. I want sewing. I want climbing rocks. I want rope acrobatics where I can swing with ropes and I know how to tie ropes. And like, okay, you can do rope tying, knots, and then you can do acrobatic swinging thing, rappelling or whatever. I don't know what think of a term, whatever it is. It can be anything. But I want specifics though as a GM. Make them kind of be a little more specific. You want to repair vehicles? Okay, is it Toyota vehicles or is it Ford vehicles? Okay, no, I won't do that. But repair vehicles, not repair spaceships. That's 2 different things. And yes, we have sci-fi. The dice ranks. So the die ranks and dice pool. So you roll your D20, you roll your tray, and you get a die rank. The die rank is here on the chart here. You get die ranks for skills, you get die ranks for blessings, you get die ranks for high ground or whatever factors are there. No penalties. The penalties are applied by the GM on his end. Okay, whether you have a grievous wound or whether there's rain or mud or the burden penalty, all of that the GM uses on his side, and he uses it like a discretionary. Like he uses it convenient when it's at his convenience. Okay, so all penalty dice are there, but the GM uses it at his convenience on his side. The player never has to worry about any of the penalties. The player just concerns himself with all his bonuses. Okay. That's a good way of saying that too. And that's actually right here. Let me write that down in a big, like a note here real quick. I kind of like the penalty. All penalty die are used at the GM's convenience. Okay, so be aware of that. I just want to see that better so I don't miss it. It's just sitting there in the all weirdy. All penalty are used at the GM's convenience. Okay. Let me just do that real quick, just to remind myself to put that somewhere. Okay. So, yeah, and that's another thing. As an indie guy, I'm constantly doing these little polishings, and with print that's tough and with PDFs too. I have PDFs in several different places, and so I have to remember to update them all. So just please be patient with me. And I'm trying to say, once I do the second edition, which I'm kind of calling this, I'm done and I'm not going to change anything. But each iteration of a new setting or game, I'm going to constantly be polishing like this. Oh well. So here's a big polish that I did. In the latest game, one of the characters rolled a total of 60. He got to explode the dice. And what that was is there was a rule that had, on this little chart here, 7 plus 7 plus and whatever it was, however I typed it before, explode the dice. So explode all the dice. So all are added together. Okay, I'm just typing this out. There used to be a rule that I had right here that said if you roll 2 7 pluses, then it explodes all the dice that you have in your dice pool. So this guy had like 20 die ranks. He got all these die ranks to do a preaching. He's preaching to the mercenaries. It's in the Christians in Space episode recently. But they beat the mercenaries. They got them all together, the ones that survived. They all surrendered, and they're not converted or anything. And then I rolled different conversion levels for them. But he basically got 20 die ranks because he used his blessing, he used his preaching skill, and then somebody out. No, he didn't bless himself. Someone else blessed him. He used inspired die. Just maxed out everything he could. And of course, he exploded the dice and he got 2 7+s. And so it came out to 60. So how am I going to beat a 60? You know, I got, you know, with the resistance level. And I was just blown as a GM. My brain, you know, went like that. So when you convert mercenaries or whatever, you don't convert them to be actual Christians. You basically make them submit and subdued, and they accept you planting a church or whatever. And they hang around. The quality of their Christianity, their what's it called? We have a name for it. The sanctification of their faith is not part of the game. The sanctification is through the church, through the ministry, through the pastor, through the elders. So that's not part of the game. The game is evangelism, church planting. That's it. So he did his job. He got them subdued, you know, accepting, willingly hang around and be a positive part of the church. That doesn't mean they're all going to be Christian or remain, but for now, you know, for the game, it's all intents and purposes, it's successful, and they're all going to, and the church is planted, or secured rather, because it was already planted in the storyline. They basically did a Magnificent Seven against slavers, pagan slavers, and saved the church that they planted earlier. Okay. So like I said, like that was a good example. He's preaching. He had like 5 die ranks in skill preaching. He used he had a blessing. And then he had a blessing, and then somebody blessed him. Ooh, I should make that a rule that if you do a blessing, you can't be blessed to your blessing. Ooh, that would have stopped, you know, him getting a ton. But the inspired die, you can add to it. Ooh, I might want to do that. Let me write that down. That's a good one. I'm just going to put it in here. A blessing can't get blessed. You know, it's like I don't allow 2 different clergy, like the nun and the cleric, to bless someone each. Like only one person can bless you, you know, for your combat or skills or whatever. So thusly, I shouldn't allow them to bless a blessing. When they do a blessing, like he has a preach blessing, then he can't just bless his preaching bless. You know what I mean? Okay, so it's like, yeah, you get what I'm saying. All right. Ooh, that's a good another. See, I gotta polish like this. So you as a GM are gonna have to deal with this stuff too, and find, because I got so many different things going on with the potential play that I can't cover everything, but I do like the die rank thing, man. It's very, you can use it for anything, and they can go into engineering. You don't need like let me give you an example. I gotta find it. Be patient. I'm looking down at all my Star Wars RPG books, and this is one that got me thinking about this. Oh, which one is it? Okay, sorry. I have all of these D&D books down there. All of these. I have all of them. That's how obsessed I was. Okay, so this one is. Let me do a full page. I'm totally nerding out here. This is the special modifications, and it's engineering. And let me just. It's like this whole book on engineering. And yeah, so, and I even role played this out with a guy once in between sessions, and it has all this crafting rules, right? Tables. It has all these crafting tables and stuff, right? And this is just for gadgets. There's one for robots. There's one for cybernetics or whatever. There's I don't like this game. I don't like this game system. I enjoyed it for a while, but I don't like it. Where is it at? Oh, it's a little further. I'm trying to find, where are all the charts? So you as a technician, your ranged weapon crafting. You know, what I'm trying to show you is that in my game you don't need any of this to do it. It's very, you basically, I'm going through the pages like, this is all the crafting. Oh, look at this. This. Really? And it's like, oh my god, we can't. When I was going through all these books, I barely read any of them too, because it's like, I just feel like it was filler. Anyway, and I'm not trying to dog it that much, but so in this, when you do engineering, you come up with the number that they have to reach based on the die ranks of the let's say a gun. If the gun is a gun, just a regular laser gun, and it has a +1 die rank to hit, like, so it has a good aiming thing, and you want to increase that to 2 die ranks. So okay, so it's a D4. I roll a D4. I add that to 12. That's the number that you have to reach to successfully upgrade it to the next one. I do it that way. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. For engineering, when you do a permanent thing, like for when you do something permanent, like a gear thing, especially a weapon, it's the highest number. So it's the 4. So 12. So if the weapon has a 2 hit of 1 die rank, which is a D4, it's the 4. So 4 plus 12 is 16. So if it has 3 die ranks and you want to go to 4 die ranks, right? 3 die ranks is a D8. So 8 plus 12 is 20. You have to beat a 20 to improve it to 5 die ranks, or 4 die ranks to D10. I hope I said that right. D3. If it has 3 die ranks, it's a D8. So 8 plus 12 is a 20. And then if you want to go to 4 die ranks, which is a D10, right? You need to beat that 20. And then I talk about what supplies, high-tech supplies, low-tech supplies that they need to work, and rations because of food, like time to do it, coffee, whatever. Now, if they get above that 20 really high, I don't change the upgrade. It's still just a D4, the next upgrade. But they can reduce the supplies, the time, the rations based on any extra bonuses and stuff. Or they could add that bonus to the next roll if they plan on doing it again, kind of thing. So that's how you do like permanent upgrades with weapons and gear and everything, is whatever that factor is. And I will be mean, and you can decide for yourself. If the weapon has all kinds of other factors in it that are upgraded, that will be a part of the difficulty. I might even make that a part of the difficulty, depending on how I feel that day, or how complicated the weapon is, or what they're trying to do with it. I might keep it simple, just base it on that one factor they're doing. Like it might have an additional damage factor upgrade. It might have an additional extra special things like bleed or burn or whatever. There's a couple extra like special things that they can have. I might add those to it or not, depending on how it looks. But you can keep it simple and just focus on the one upgrade factor and not adding in all the other ones. And they can do that with armor. They can do that with their ship parts. They can do that with anything. I don't need to look at a chart. I don't need that big old book to do all that, because all their little factors of what they want to do are there. They're conceptual and based on just die ranks, and that's why I like this. It's a little hard to grasp at the beginning, but once you do, I don't need all this other stuff. I just can use the die ranks of all the stats to decide things, how difficult things are, and what to do. And the only other thing on top of this is die rank results, which is basically if you get over the number you need, like say the gun, and they rolled a total of 30 because they used a lab, they used all these die ranks together. They blessed themselves. They can't have another blessing, just the one blessing. And then they use inspired die. They had upgraded supplies, like that. You can get upgraded supplies. You can get the high tech and the low tech. I got some high tech that's 2 die ranks. Wow, okay, that's gonna add to your roll. I got 3 low techs that are +1 die rank each. Wow, okay, add that, if you want to use it. And let's say they rolled, they got a 30, right? They got maybe a 7+ in there and exploded the dice a bit, whatever it is. Then those extra. So if the goal was 20 and they got 30, you half that. You subtract that, so it's 10. Half of it is 5 die ranks. That's what they got. Now the gun is upgraded to the 1 die rank, but they got 5 extra die ranks that they can use now to reduce supplies, or they can add it to the next roll if they're going to do it again. They can reduce the supplies of their stuff, and each die rank is kind of equivalent of 1 supply. I would probably make 2 die ranks equivalent of a high tech. Like you didn't need to use the high tech. You were able to do it through programming and data, and engineering. That's how smart you are. You didn't need to add the high tech to it. Wow, I'm going to save my high tech. So it's that kind of cool factor when you get those extra 5 die ranks, or that die rank result above the number. That's how exciting this game is. It's really open-ended like that. I don't need to look at any charts. I don't need to do anything. I just grasp this, and the world is my oyster. The world is my whatever. It's a great game. It's really expansive in that sense. And not limited. It's not limited. You're not limited by levels. You're not limited by stupid stories. And you've got an incredible story of evangelism and church planting in a village where they worship the dragon. It's incredibly full of depth that you can have with your players. And I'm very silly too. I play the pagans. I even play their latest church. They have a young pastor who's like a charismatic pastor. He's, like a doofus. So I play as the actual pastor of the church is like a doofus, because that is awesome. And we as Christians need to do that. We need to remind ourselves of the silliness of this all, the joy of it all. The game of life is, we got to make it holy and roll holy dice. I just enjoy this so much. That's why my really thing to you is you're missing out. You are missing out. If you're a Christian playing Dungeons and Dragons or Shadow Dark or any of these other games, you are missing out on incredibly fun, fulfilling ministry, fellowship first, then turn it into a ministry, man, for your own ministry. And you can create your own games and settings and sell them if you want. Sell them at your church or start up youth groups, game nights, all that. That's just the goal of this. It's so joyful. And I'm having a great time doing it. So, and I'm trying to just get it out. I'm constantly doing this, just doing it. I'm that crying in the wilderness, Christian RPG out in the YouTube wilderness, and hoping you guys will take this and run with it. And you younger people, I hope you guys will. I'm gonna retire at some point here, or go work at Italy and become a cheesemonger or something calm and do what I'm told and get a nice little paycheck and bring some cheese home. At some point, because I'm getting older, I'm getting calmer and more peaceful in my life, but this is my ministry to the world. What little humbleness I can do in the game of life, folks. Roll some holy dice.